Hi, this tutorial will show you how to make a mod maker mod into a Frosty mod and a Frosty mod into a mod maker mod. The main thing people do for Frosty to mod maker is textures that don't work in Frosty that get bugs like companion outfits, which you then have to make through mod maker and load through mod maker or mod maker's manager. So I'll be showing you how to do that, but I'll also be showing you how to make other Frosty mods into mod maker mods as well, or update your mod maker mods into Frosty mods. So for textures, the main thing that get issues is companion textures and the elven female textures. I'm sure there are others, such as some of the facial textures, but I don't know specifically which ones. So if you run into this checkered like pattern while making it through Frosty, make it into a mod maker mod and run it through the mod maker's manager. In this tutorial, I will not show you how to set up mod maker or Frosty editor. If you want to set up Frosty editor, my texture tutorial does show you how to do that. And there are many tutorials, if they still exist, I'm hoping they do, for mod makers to show you how to do that. Okay, let's get started. So first we actually want to set up our files, which will make it easier to create our mods from mod maker to Frosty and Frosty to mod maker. So right click, go to new to text document, and if you can't see the .rtf, go to view and turn on file name extensions. Now we want to delete all this and rename it to rename ebx to bin.batch, so .bat, and when it comes up with this, yes. Now we want to edit that with Notepad. Okay, so it actually does still have the one I originally had open. So we want to type in rename shift 8, which brings up the star.ebx, then space shift 8.bin, and then we save this. And now we want to make the alternates. So we'll do this one from the beginning. So rename space shift 8.bin space shift 8.ebx. Now we don't want to save over this one, so we want to right click on that and save as, and rename this to bin to ebx. Okay, let's shut that. Now when making your mods for mod maker or Frosty 2 mod maker rather, you want to make sure your patch version is version 12, so Origin Games, Dragon Age Inquisition, update patch, and edit your package.mft and edit it to version 12. And also make sure you do not have a mod folder from Frosty in your game folder while making your mod maker cache if it isn't already made. This is because if your version number is set higher than 12, then anyone using your mod maker mods needs to have their version set to that same number. Okay, so now we have this set up, we can start converting our Frosty mod into a mod maker mod. For this, you need version 1.0.5.9 and version 1.0.5.3 Frosty editor. This is because any versions after the 0.3 do not work when imported into mod maker. It causes a crash. Thank you personally to Demetrius for telling me this, because I didn't know this before. I started doing these kind of mods, converting my mods. So best thing to do is export from 0.9, import that into 0.3, and then directly export again from 0.3, and then convert your bin file into an EBX file. So let's do that now. So my mod open in 0.9 is my Flies in Sky Hole Be Gone. Yours could be any other edit other than a texture edit. Basically anything else other than a texture edit will be like this. So like editing the description Win32 files. Don't always work for mod maker, but if you want to do that, and if you wanted to edit the character creation file and import that into mod maker, because most people use Frosty editor because of this file setup being easier to use. So let's first export this. This is actually what one of the files look like personally. one I'm using. So DA3 layouts, increase the base 2, main base, courtyard, lower. Now I want to right click on this, export .bin, but if you want to add that it's a 9 version, we can add that before the bin. Now go into Frosty editor point 3, locate the same file, so DA3 layouts, main base, under Inquisitor base 2, and then courtyard lower. Import, and just directly export again. So we put 3 in front of that, just so I know it's that version. Go into our folder. Yeah, it might, that's the thing, it will actually automatically convert all the bins into EBX. So if you want to convert this back to bin, just type it in and actually just create a new folder for version 0.9 bins, just so they don't get converted, and these are the ones you want to use. Now to get this into ModMaker, we need to use version 19. Version 19 is used for anything but texture edits. Texture edits is best used with 0.17. This is because for some reason 0.19 gets some errors on imports with textures. So we find the same location in here, DA3, layouts, Inquisitor base 2, main base, courtyard lower. In mine, yours will be different if you're not editing the same file. Import EBX. Successfully imported. Now all we would do is go to save as, new mod, DAIMM even, flies, big gun, skyhold. Then your author name and description, conversion of my Frosty mod to DAIMM, which removes flies from skyhold. Create, and flies be gone, skyhold. There, you've successfully converted your Frosty mod into a ModMaker mod. Congratulations. This part is converting your Frosty texture into a ModMaker texture mod. So, as I said before, companion textures and some other textures get issues in Frosty, including some of the face textures. So the best thing to do then is make it into a ModMaker mod and load it through Mod Manager. This is because Frosty Mod Manager does still get issues with texture mods imported from ModMaker. So in this case, you do need to use a combination of Dragon Age Inquisition Mod Manager and Frosty Mod Manager. So, a Frosty texture into ModMaker. Now, you will do this mainly for textures that get errors, or if you just want to make your texture available for people using ModMaker only. For me, it is a combination of the two, because I want to use companion retextures. I do need to use ModMaker for those, because in Frosty Editor we sadly do get them checkerbox bugs that sometimes look like a kaleidoscope. So we would export our texture from our Frosty project if we have not saved our texture separately. For this example, I'm showing you why you shouldn't be using directly the DDS from Frosty Editor. This is because when you go to, let's first get our preview open, import, it will come up as an unknown format. So we want to convert our texture into DDS that ModMaker can read. I use personally paint.net for this because it works personally for me and is a free program I can use. So we import a texture into here, save all of that, and it is DXT1 by default, but if you want to double check, the preview does tell you what format your texture should be in. So export, and now when we go to import, it'll work. So that is your texture mod now imported into ModMaker. So if it was just the diffuse, you would then go to here and name your mod. So Blackwall default armor I would actually name it 111 just for anyone that actually does know the names of the textures. And let's call it purple. I'm not actually going to be releasing this because this is just an example. I did it to an extreme, the colours, to show up a bit easier in Frosty editor. So description, purple and red for each colour. So now if you want to use that title as your DA mod maker name, copy and paste into there, and voila, you have now created your texture mod as a mod maker texture mod. So if you use Photoshop, there is tutorials around that in other places for that. I don't have personally links to those, but you should be able to find those out. For me, I only use GIMP and Paint.net because they are free to use, and I sadly cannot subscribe to any of the paid programs because they are personally far too expensive for me to use. Now we're going to convert a texture from Mod Maker into Frosty Editor. Now, as I said, if it's a texture that gets issues in game with Frosty, then it's best to just use Mod Maker. But for this example, we'll just export our texture as DAIMM. And when importing this into Frosty Editor, it should come up with an error. Must be sRGB variant. So for me, in this regard, it's better to make my texture as PNG because a lot of formats don't seem to like being used, for me personally. So if we open our DDS in GIMP, or Paint.net, whichever one you'd prefer to use, and then for me, I'd export it as PNG. I know this example I'm actually using a texture does get issues in Frosty, but that is the quickest example I can show just for importing and exporting textures. So automatically it goes under PNG. So it's imported. We could save this as our project by using save or save as. Then we go to File, Export to Mod when you're ready. Type in your title, your author name, so in my case it's Padme 4000, your category. If it's a texture mod, you might want to just call it texture mod, or your username and then texture mod, or what character it is and then texture mod, and then your version number. So if you first one, it'd probably be 1.0, or if you prefer 0.1, then have your icon. For this, I now actually use an icon that represents my mods. So it's actually a budgie I made, which my friend made into actually an icon for me. And then these images are to preview your mod. So you show your mod off. And then here, just type in your mod description, and when all this is filled out, click Save. Now, Mod Maker mods into Frosty mods when the EBX edits. So for that I used as an example earlier was anything that isn't a texture edit can be classed as an EBX. In Frosty it is .bin, but most people still call it EBX. So we used our My Fly Be Gone mod as an example before, so we'll use it as an example here for converting straight to Frosty. So in this example, let's pretend I do not have a Frosty version of this mod, and this is an old mod, say from when the game came out, and I want to now, I come back to modding the game and I think, oh well, I'd like to update my mods to Frosty so people can use it for both Mod Maker and Frosty. We would locate our file. So as I said before, you can go to Advanced Mod Configuration and go to Data to find out where your file is that you edited. And then, open our file, go to Debug, Export EBX Binary, and let's create a new folder. So DAIMM EBX. So it doesn't actually give you a name directly here, so before you actually go into this, you could already highlight this, Control C, export. So in this version again, it's best to use 0.19 for these types. So we want to put that in there. Now we want to convert that file. So let's actually In this case, you might be best off making a separate folder for any of your ones that you want to convert to EBX, and a separate folder that's any files you want to convert to bin. So let's actually name that to bin. And put that through there. Okay, so this file is now ready. You do not need to use 0.5.3 to create this file for Frosty. That is only from making Frosty into Mod Maker. So now we go into here, locate our file. So layout, Inquisitor Space, made base for me, courtyard lower. And right click import. And now it has imported. Congratulations, you just converted your Mod Maker mod into a Frosty editor mod or Frosty mod. So when finished, save as. So your project is ready. And then when that's ready, go to export to mod, fill in your title, your author. So for me, it's Patrick 4000. Category for this, I would say cleaning up Skyhold, which is actually part of my cleaning up Skyhold theme. Version 1.0 or 0.1, like I said before. This is to represent you. Well, I use this to represent myself. So like I said, my budget icon to represent that these are my mods. And these to show off your mod. And then your mod description, and click save. And if any of them need filling in, it will tell you. And then save your mod. And there you have your Mod Maker to Frosty mod. I hope this tutorial helped you from converting Frosty to Mod Maker and Mod Maker to Frosty.